Hey guys, welcome back once again to the channel. Today I'm going to be starting the first of a mini series in which I analyze my own testing games or previous tournament matches and showcasing what the cards do, as well as a little bit of reflection on what could have been done differently or better. My goal with this is to showcase my thought process and try to find better ways to play with the goal of improving both y'all's understanding of the game and my own level of play so that I can hopefully win a locals and maybe more one day. Before I begin this video, I wanted to give a basic rundown of how the One Piece trading card game actually works for those of my viewers who aren't familiar with the game itself or how it's played. This will be extremely brief, so please feel free to look up the official how to play guide if you want more in-depth knowledge, but for now I'm just going to give you the quick rundown. Basically, both players have a 50 card deck containing up to 4 copies of any one card, one leader card that determines the color and the strategy of the deck, and a 10 Dawn or resource card deck that they place on the side. Both players shuffle their decks and draw a hand of 5 cards, then add cards to their life pile face down equal to the number printed on their leader card in the bottom right hand corner. On the first turn, the first player adds 1 Dawn card to their field. On the second turn, the other player draws a card and adds 2 Dawn. Then play progresses with each player drawing a card at the start of each turn and adding 2 Dawn cards. Players will take turns from this point attacking and playing cards by resting Dawn cards equal to the card cost in the top left. To win, a player must reduce their opponent to 0 life, then hit them with 1 more successful attack. Wait, attack. To attack, a player at any point during their main part of the turn will turn their leader or character sideways, resting them, then declare an attack target. The target can be your opponent's leader or one of their rested characters. For an attack to succeed, the power, located in the top right-hand corner of a card, must be equal to or greater than the power of the target. If successful in an attack, a character that was attacked will be trashed, or the opponent whose leader was hit will add the top card of their life pile to their hand. A leader can always be attacked, regardless of being rested or active, but a character must be rested to be attacked unless the card states otherwise. If you want to boost an attack's power, you can attach an active or upright Dawn card to your leader or character to give them plus 1000 power for the turn for each Dawn card attached. This allows for all resources to be used in a turn if a player is skilled enough, as any leftover Dawn cards from playing cards from your hand can be equipped to make your attacks more effective and potent. To avoid losing a battle, the defendant can use events or discard cards with counter in hand to successfully fend it off. If a character successfully fends off an attack from another character, the attacking character is not trashed. The only time a character is trashed from a battle is if the attack is successful. And that's about it, really. Pretty basic game, similar to Pokemon while also having aspects of magic in it, but for the most part, very basic and easy to understand. Of course, there's more nuances and features for the game, but I'll just describe those on a need-to-know basis as we get into these games. I just wanted to give you guys the quick rundown before we get into the games, just so you have some semblance of what's going on. In the games, I'll be pulling up the cards as we play them, just so that you guys can pause and read them if you need to try and understand what they do. I'll also explain some of the more complicated mechanics, as well as describe each leader and what the basic game plan of the deck is for that leader, so that you guys are somewhat aware of the strategies on each side for the games. Alright, and with that being said, let's get into our first game, guys. Real quick, before we hop into today's video, just wanted to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, my wallet. A little bit of a caveat here, I'm not 100% on these deck lists, but to the best of my ability, at least for my opponent, I remembered more or less what he was running because he told me afterwards. This is what I remember he said he was running to the best of his ability, right? So obviously, it's going to be blue-yellow, 4 life leader with 5000 power. It's going to have Dawn ×2, so that means 2 Dawn attached to him. Activate main once per turn. You can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 1 5-cost character, specifically 5, to the top of your life face up. Then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Right, so the basic idea here is that they want to be stacking their different 5-cost aces here, and I believe he has another 5-cost character in here, but I can't remember what it is. But these 5-cost aces, he wants to be stacking those to the top of his life. And then at the end of his turn, you have to send all face-up life cards in your life to the trash. So the idea here, right, is you're using cards like Hiyori or Zeus, something like that, or Baby Ace to try and get those cards out of your face-up life and get value, so you're effectively just using them for free every turn. So you're searching the top 5, grabbing one of your 5-drop aces here, whether it be this one here, this one here, this one here, or one of these two, putting that into life, and then you use something like Baby Ace to play that out from your life onto the field, or you use something like Zeus here to add that card to your hand, so you're not really losing a life to use this card's ability. So now I'm just going to briefly go over each of the other cards and show you guys kind of like the gist of the deck. So the deck is somewhat of a tempo slash mid-range deck, right? That's using these medium bodies here to apply pressure with some late game options to either survive or deal a lot of damage with the I Am Whitebeard and the Edward Newgates here. So the first one is going to be this 5-drop Searcher Ace. If your leader's type includes Whitebeard Pirates, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 cost 2 character, specifically 2, and put it into your hand. Then place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order and play up to 1 cost 2 character from your hand rested. So the targets for this obviously going to be Hiyori, Zeus, and Baby Ace, with an emphasis on Baby Ace here so that you can keep using that leader ability to be a 7k leader. Next we have 5-drop 6000 power 1k counter Blocker Ace. Blocker on play, draw 2 cards and return 2 cards from your hand to the top or bottom of your deck in any order of your choice. So pretty good for setting up your leader ability if you have too many of the targets in your hand and you don't want to whiff. Pretty good card there. Next we have a 2k counter Ace. It's a 5-drop 6k with 2k counter and Whitebeard Pirates type. That's one of the main things that we want to be able to do with searching here, is using this event here, 1 cost Searcher event. If your leader includes Whitebeard Pirates, right, which Ace does, then you can look at the top 3 of your deck and reveal a Whitebeard Pirates type or Monkey D. Luffy, which this deck doesn't run any Luffys, so it's a top 3 search for Whitebeard Pirates, and put it in your hand. Then you can put the rest of the cards on the top or bottom of your deck in any order, so it lets you reorder your deck off of that search. Pretty neat. But yeah, so that searcher is going to be able to search out any of these aces, right? Because they're all going to be Whitebeard Pirates except for Baby Ace. For the big end on blue, we have 4 Kozuki Odin. I believe he cut this down to 3 or 2 in our actual game, but again, I don't remember what those last 2 cards were, so I just put them in as Odins. But yeah, Kozuki Odin, 7-drop AK character with no counter. If he would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you can trash 2 cards from your hand instead, right? So pretty decent protection ability. Activate main once per turn. You can rest 3 of your Dawn cards and return 1 of your characters other than this character to the owner's hand. Set this character as active, right? So restanding itself by bouncing one of your other bodies, which can be a 2k Zeus or Hiyori or a Garp, right, to one of your on plays in order to get another AK swing. Pretty good. And then 10 cost 12,000 power Edward Newgate with no counter, right? This is going to be on play if your leader's type includes Whitebeard Pirates and you have 2 or less life cards. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, all of your opponent's characters cannot attack unless they first discard 2 cards from their hand, and that's for each character that attacks. So 2 important things to note here. Number 1, you have to be at 2 life for this ability to work, and number 2, it does not apply to characters your opponents play after this card sees the field. So if your opponent plays out a rush character, they can swing it for free. But this card is very good. They're usually not going to be playing it for 10. They're going to be using this event here, which I'll go ahead and talk about. I Am Whitebeard. Main, if your leader has the Whitebeard Pirates type, play up to 1 Edward Newgate from your hand. So in this deck, there's 6 targets. It's going to be this card and then this 6-drop right here, which I'll talk about in a moment. Then you can add the top or bottom card of your life cards into your hand, and if you do, give up to 1 of your leader plus 2,000 powers until the end of your opponent's next turn. So this is the card you want to play with your Portgas D Ace to get this Newgate out, not the Newgate itself, because it's 8 Dawn. So on your 10 Dawn turn, you play this, and you still have 2 Dawn, right, to equip to your leader for leader ability. Now, one important thing to know is you can take a life with this, so you really only have to be at 3 life when you play this card to get this card's value, right? Because the Edward Newgate here, you can just take that life with this card if you want to make your leader a 7,000 power leader, and then this Newgate will be live. So that's it for the blue cards and most of the Whitebeard Pirates type synergies. Now I'm going to get into more of the Goa Kingdom and yellow cards. So we have 4 Monkey D. Garp, 1 cost 2,000 power character with 1k counter. That's a navy. It says on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Sabo, Ace, or Luffy card with a cost of 5 or less. Put it into your hand and then place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's just going to be your 1 cost searcher card for your aces, especially your Baby Ace, right? Because your Baby Ace only has 2 searchers, being that Garp and the 5 cost Ace. So that's going to be your searcher for the baby, just to add some consistency, as well as a bounce target for Kozuki Odin. Then we have our 2k counters. In addition to the 2k Ace, we have 4 2k counters, which is going to be 4 Kozuki Hiyori, right? So you can put the top or bottom card of your life into your hand and put up to 1 card from your hand on the top of your life pile. Really good card with leader ability because it lets us effectively heal for 2 Dawn and a 2k out of our hand, right? Because you stack 1 with leader, play the Hiyori, take that card to your hand, put a different card into your life, that card can go face down, and now you've effectively healed 1 life by spending a 2k counter out of your hand. Then we have Zeus, similar idea, but instead of healing, we are going to be removing a 5 cost or less, right? 2-drop 2,000 power character with 2,000 counter on play. Add a card from the top or bottom of your life to your hand, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, right? So just a really solid removal piece. It does not say base cost, unfortunately, that would be insane, but it does say cost 5 or less, so this can remove a lot of really potent bodies in the meta and a lot of chump blockers. So just another cool card to use along with your leader's ability there to effectively remove things for free, minus a 2k in your hand. Now getting into the heartblood of the deck is going to be these next 2 cards right here. We are going to play 4 of each of them, obviously. So it's going to be Baby Portgas D Ace. We call him Baby because he only costs 2, right? But that's going to be a 2-drop 2,000 power character with 1,000 counter. Activate main, trash this character. Look at the top card of your life. If the card is a 5 cost Ace, you can play it, and if you do, up to one of your leader gets plus 2,000 power to the end of your opponent's next turn. And then the other card is going to be a 5-cost, 7,000 power character. It's going to be an ace with no counter and a Whitebeard Pirates typing. It's going to say if you have a face-up life card, play up to 1 Sabo, Ace, or Luffy with a cost of 2 from your hand or trash. So these two cards right here are going to be pivotal in this deck, right? Because what you want to do is leader ability, stack one of your aces on top, right? Because they all cost 5. And then this character here specifically cares about 5 costs. So what you want to do is you want to play this out, play out whatever face-up ace you just had, and then make your leader a 7,000 power leader, which is pretty strong. In addition to that, you can either get a blocker off of it or another search for a baby ace and set up for the next turn, or you can get a rush ace and start swinging in. This card, 5 cost, 7,000 power, no counter as well. On play, if you have 2 or less life, this character gains rush, right? So just a good closer. The deck eventually, I think he said, wants to play 4 of these as opposed to 2, but he doesn't have the extra copies right now. I lent him 2 that I had, but yeah, he only has the 2 copies right now, but this is definitely a 4 of moving forward. But yeah, this card right here is probably the best new addition from PRB02. Just a really strong option to bring back the baby aces and prolong the deck's longevity, as well as being able to apply a lot more pressure into the late game, right? Into the mid to late game, I should say. So yeah, these 2 cards are very important to the deck. And then we have the rush ace. And to round it out, we have one more card. It's going to be 2 copies of our 6-cost, 7,000 power starter deck, Edward Newgate. So this is going to have 1,000 counter on it, which is pretty nice, as well as the Whitebeard Pirates typing, so we can search it. And another thing that's funny, you can play it off of I Am Whitebeard. Don't know why you would, but you can. It's going to be an on play of add the top card of your deck to the top of your life cards. Then look at all your life cards, place one of the cards on the top of your deck, and return your remaining life cards in your desired order. So this here is another way to just kind of heal with leader, so to speak, because you play out that life card, then play out Edward Newgate, stack your deck on top, and put that face-up life card on top of your deck so that you effectively just healed 1 card. So it's an alright card. Pretty good body at 7,000 power as well, and 6 cost is pretty potent, not easy to remove. Other Zeuses can't remove it. But yeah, basic gist of the deck, be a 7,000 power leader, play out a lot of aces, smack face, and then close out games with Edward Newgate, I Am Whitebeard, and Kozuki Odin. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to get into my deck, which is Black Yellow Luffy. Alright, and here we are, Black Yellow Luffy. A lot of cards, by the way, are going to be the same in this deck as it was in the last. So, Black Yellow Luffy, also a starter deck 13 leader, is going to be a Black Yellow 4 life 5,000 power leader that says, per the rules, your face-up life cards will be sent to the bottom of your deck instead of to your hand. It also has Dawn ×2, activate main once per turn. You can discard 1 card from your hand. If your life is at 0, you may add up to 2 5-cost characters from your hand or trash to your life face up. Basic game plan of this deck. Play all of the Goa Kingdom characters, which we'll get into in a second, and all the 5-cost brothers, and become a 9,000 power leader every single turn, while playing out a lot of blockers, filtering hand, punishing your opponent's hand, and closing out the game by just being too large of a leader, paired with too many blockers and too much counter in hand. So the deck list here is very clean in my opinion. We have 5 of the 5-cost 6,000 power blocker Sabos. This is going to be a 1,000 counter character, Dressrosa Revolutionary Army, and it says, on play, your characters cannot be KO'd by card effects until the start of your next turn. Then draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand, right? So a very, very potent ability. The ability of this card to cycle your hand, as well as make your board indestructible to your opponent's effect destruction, is very strong, meaning you can only be bottom decked by things like Gravity Blade or Red Rock, or bounced back to hand with things like Nojiku and Jozu. So very strong card here. One of the more pivotal pieces. That filter is very, very crucial in this deck. This card here is an interesting tech choice that I've decided to put in and I'm testing with. It is a 6-cost 7,000 power character with no counter, Nico Robin. If your leader is Koala or Monkey D. Luffy, which it is Monkey D. Luffy, this character gains blocker and plus 3 cost. So 6 base cost, but a 9-cost character on the board with 7,000 power and blocker. And then, on play, you can trash 1 card from your hand. If your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, your opponent trashes 2 cards from their hand. So even though it looks like a defensive card, right, being a 6-cost, 7,000 power blocker that gives itself more cost, the ability to trash 1 from our hand, which we want to get into trash anyways, to recycle here with our leader ability, because it can play the cards back into our life from trash, is actually proactive for us while still attacking our opponent's hand. So when our opponent is at 5 or 6 cards in hand, this card is very, very strong and effective to really put pressure on our opponent to try and either keep combo pieces or counter against our leader, who's going to be huge, and our 5,000 to 6,000 power characters. So this card just a 2 of, right? Just a nice little space filler here. Testing it out, really liking how it feels so far. Next, I'm going to get into our 2Ks before we get into the engine of the deck. So we have 3 of the 1-cost 1,000 power Charlotte Flampe 2K counter. On play, add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life cards to your hand, draw 1 card. So one thing that's very interesting about this deck is, if you can tell by the leader ability, you have to be at precisely 0 life cards. Because of this, you want to be able to control when you get there to the bottom of your life. Now, opponents are going to read this leader, and if they have a shred of interest in it, they're going to realize that, oh great heavens, I do not want this leader to get to 0 life, because it is going to start cycling like crazy, which I'll demonstrate once we get into the Goa package. Because of this, one of the most effective methods to play against this deck is to starve it. And what I mean by starve is not attack life, forcing the Luffy to utilize pieces of engine to get rid of life cards, take our own life effectively, just so that we can use leader ability, spending cards from our hands that our opponent can then hit us down because we wasted resources taking our own life. That's where Charlotte Flampe is an absolute star in this deck. For 1 Dawn, we can take that life from the top of our life pile and draw an extra card. So we draw 2 cards for 1 2k counter in our hand and get that much closer to leader ability for only 1 Dawn. Very great rate. Our next 2k is going to be 4 Kozuki Hiyori. On play, you can put the top or bottom card of your life pile into your hand and put up to 1 card from your hand on the top of your life pile, right? It's just another comfort 2k, but we can, if we want to be very aggressive early on in the game, we can take the top card of our life, stack one of our 5 cost Luffy, Sabo, or Aces, put them into life, and then play out a baby to play that card out and have a body on board. So it's just an extra option there. And then Zeus, another way to, again, proactively take our own life while removing things, just like an Ace. Very, very strong card. The only difference is this one gets us to 0 faster, whereas Ace wants to break even with it. So that's going to be our 11 2Ks that we run in the deck. Pretty happy with them overall. One key thing to note, our leader says, according to the rules, your face-up life cards will be sent to your deck instead of added to your hand. So in late game, if you only have face-up life cards, Flambe can no longer take that life to draw a card because it would bottom deck it. Same with Kozuki Hiyori and Zeus. So your life has to be face down in order to take them with these 2Ks late game. Now you might be wondering, how do I get them face down? Because the leader puts those cards into your life pile face up, right? That's where Viola comes in. So this is another tech card that I'm trying, and I'm really, really liking this one, guys. So it's a 2-cost, 0 power character with 1000 counter. It's a blocker that says on play, choose one of the following. Look at all of your opponent's life cards, then return them in any order, or turn all of your life cards face down. So late game, this card is an absolute bomb to extend your life, because normally with your life cards face up, if your opponent swings into them, you lose those cards forever because they go to the bottom of your deck. So you're not actually getting them back to hand to keep playing like a normal deck would. But with Viola, what you can do, put 2 Dawn on leader, heal 2 cards, play your Viola, flip those cards face down, and now you're going to be getting them back, effectively making 3 blockers for 1 card in this deck, for only 4 Dawn and an extra card out of your hand because you have to discard for leader. That is amazing, guys. And on top of that, you can play this early game if you want to look at your opponent's life cards and try to plan out lethal for later in the game. And you get to put their life back in any order, which means you can give them intentional cards that are bad at the time that they would take that life. So that's going to wrap up most of the tech or extra cards. The only other one, of course, being Black Vortex here. Black Vortex is just a card to play against Green Zoro specifically, because Green Zoro is very strong right now, and this card will negate their leader ability and give it minus 4k to try and mitigate their ability to double swing into our characters, right? So that's just going to be 2-cost counter, negate the effect of up to one of your opponent's leader character cards, and give that card minus 4000 power during the turn. And then it does have a trigger to negate the effect of your opponent's leader character during this turn. Again, triggers don't really matter in this deck. We're usually taking our own life anyways. If it triggers, sure, but not relevant at all, just there for the Zoro matchup. With that being said, we're going to get into the heart and soul of the deck. So very similar to what Blue Yellow Ace is trying to do here. Again, 4 Garps that can search more cards in our deck than just Ace. It can search our Luffys and our Sabos as well. I'll go over the babies all at the same time, so we play 4 of each baby because we want to maximize our ability to draw a combo with our leader. So each of them do the exact same thing, but for their respective characters. So the Sabo, baby Sabo, will reveal the top card looking for Sabo. Ace reveals top looking for Ace. And Luffy reveals the top looking for Luffy. Pretty simple. Now let's get into the characters that these cards actually play out. So again, 5-cost Sabo is really good, cycling our deck and being a blocker as well to protect our leader. We also have 5-cost Yellow Sabo. Now this card is only a 2 of right now. I might bump it up in the future because it's really starting to click with me in this deck. I really like this card, and especially with Viola, we can actually use this card late game to start filling our hand back up if we need to. So I'm really liking this card, but a 5-cost 6000 power character, so similar to this one, with 1000 counter as well. If you have 3 or less life cards, this character gains blocker and plus 3 cost. The second you play this out, by the way, it is going to be that, because if we look at our on play, you can add the top card of your life cards to your hand, draw 2, and trash 1 from your hand. So again, a way to proactively take our own life earlier on in the game, while at the same time drawing us more cards and helping us filter our hand and stack our trash with our 5 costs so that we can bring them back with leader ability. It's a really strong card. Again, you need to have your life face down in order to do that because of our leader's skill. So that is why Viola, or not leader's skill, excuse me, but our leader's rules. So because of that, Viola is another card that I feel like is doubly useful in this deck because you will be seeing a lot of these Sabos if you are searching and cycling with your Sabos and Garps. So we run 2 of that card. Next, we also run 4 of the 5 cost Brick Ace that brings back the baby ace. This card is so amazing. It makes our combos so much easier, and it really saves us card inventory in hand because used to we have to play 2 babies from hand every turn to keep our leader at 2,000 power, or excuse me, at 9,000 power. But thanks to Ace, we can now put him on the top of our life face up and then a Sabo or something like that below him, play out the baby ace, play out the big ace off of the baby ace from life, give our leader plus 2k, so he's a 7k, and then use this ace's ability, because we still have that other face up character, to play out another one of our babies, probably Sabo, to play the Sabo from life, being a 9,000 power leader for that turn. So really strong in this deck because it's a lot easier to pull off than the other starter deck brothers. Next, we have 2 rush aces. Not 100% sold on this one, guys, gonna be honest, but I'm leaving it in there because we want to play ace anyways, and it's a good way to close out some games a little bit faster. Next, one of the cards that was custom made for this leader, 5 cost Punch Luffy. So this is going to be our only Luffy in the deck that we are going to be able to play off of baby Luffy. 5 cost, 6,000 power character with 1,000 counter as well. Activate main once per turn. This character gains plus 2,000 power till the start of your next turn, period. That is something you can always do. Then, if you have 1 or more life, you draw a card and trash the top card of your life. Very good with our leader because, as you remember, if our life is face up, we cannot add it to our hand, but this character trashes the top of our life instead and then draws us a card. So even if the life is face up, we can still use this ability. But yeah, one thing that this character can do is we'll find ourselves going into our turns with 0 life a lot. So you can do this ability to just pump it to 8k and then heal with your leader. And this is just free 8k character for 5. And that's going to be it for the cards in the deck. And like I said, general idea is you want to be using 2 babies a turn every turn to pump our leader to 9,000 power while going card neutral in hand and establishing about 2 blockers for the rest of the game, having all of our characters KO immune, and then just slowly whittling down our opponent's hand with cards like Nico Robin, as well as Rush Ace, until we are able to out aggro our opponent while staying at a 9,000 power leader and remaining relatively untouched. With that being said, let's get into the actual footage, guys, and see what these decks do in action. So for this video, guys, it's going to be Black Yellow Luffy versus Blue Yellow Ace. This is a custom leader card that my buddy got, but yeah, I haven't played Black Yellow Luffy since all the way back in OPO, I want to say 8. I think I played it for a little bit before that ban list came out and got rid of Gecko Moria. But this is PRB testing, so he is currently running that new 5-drop ace, as am I, to revive characters. And I'll have all the cards up on screen so that you guys can see them as they come up. But here we're just determining our starting hands. And I don't believe that my buddy's list here does play the Charlotte Pudding, as that card is going to be a very good card versus Black Yellow Luffy. Obviously, Black Yellow Luffy wanted to take all the life, right? Get a bunch of cards in hand so that late game, when you're not going card positive, you know, you have a good buffer to counter and things like that. So without the Charlotte Pudding, he doesn't have a great way to pressure that. So just something to keep in mind for me. I did not know that going into this, but I figured it out once we got later in the game. Yep, and so just go ahead and take a look at our starting hand right here. We're going second. We did win the die roll. We have 2 Garps as well as a Viola and 2 Zeuses. So no engine really, but we have a good option here late game to kind of defense up. Ways to aggressively take our life while controlling the board state here for ace. And then we also have 2 Garps to get some searches going. So there's potential here. I think the first hand was a little bit better, but whatever. And then my opponent here playing ace. I'm not sure exactly what his hand was, but we see here he's going to start off with the same Garp Searcher, right? He's running the aces. Garp Search is exactly what he wants. And he actually does not elect to play the PRB02 Marco in here, both because he doesn't have the card and also because, I don't know, he says there's not enough room, and it is a brick, so I understand that. And for our turn, guys, it's going to be very simple. We're just going to go in here with double Garp Searcher. This is what I would consider the first interesting choice here in this game, taking the Sabo, yellow Sabo over the black Sabo or a baby with no other cards in hand. My idea with this, right, was I was planning on him starving me, so I take this because this card is very good at filling up my hand while also ensuring that I don't get starved, right? Because we take 1 life, draw 2 cards, and then trash 1 with that card's ability. I'll have it up on screen. So because of that, very good at keeping us from getting starved. So that was my goal here. And then we're going in, of course, with the second Garp, and I take the baby Sabo. Very scary, though. Something to note here. We see off of that second Garp search that we are now bottom decking our second revival ace and black blocker Sabo. So very, very important here that we get some good cycle going to make sure that we have those 5 drops to start cycling late game with our leader ability. And really fortunate that we won the die roll here too, not just because going second gets us to our maximum curve faster, but because it really puts Ace in an awkward spot. So he's going to send 5,000 power at our leader with the Garp by putting all the Dawn on there. He sent another 5, and I elect not to counter out actually. Just really want to aggressively take and try to see what the life is going to be looking like as we get into these later turns, as my hand is pretty bad. And we can see already that we're gonna be running into some issues here. We do have the baby Luffy, which is kind of nice, but the next life, or sorry, the next card that we draw is that 5 cost Punch Luffy, which is an okay card. I'm starting to favor it less, I think, going into the OP13, 12.5 to 13 format. But yeah, since we don't have any great plays and I don't want to risk him Zeusing any of our babies, I just decide to get a little aggressive here, go in at face, pressure his hand. So we go 5 with Garp and then 6 with leader. We also send the 2k Garp at his just to clear the body. And yeah, we're going to send 5 and then 6 and pass our turn off. We have a lot of cards in hand here, as you can see, guys. Charlotte Pudding would hurt so bad right now, losing 3 cards out of our hand, and I believe we get to 9 or 10 later as well. This is where the game is effectively, I don't want to say over for him, but it's really bad. He does whiff the leader ability here. So that, again, that leader ability, equip 2 Dawn, look at the top 5, put any 5 cost character face up on top of your life. Very strong. And then the only drawback to that being that you have to lose whatever face of life cards you had at the end of your turn. This deck gets around that super easily. But yeah, whiffing that search is very, very rough for our opponent here, guys, because whiffing that search means he also whiffs this ace effectively, because he probably would have hit a 5-drop ace off of this, put it to life, play it out, become a 7,000 power leader, get some sort of decent on-play value here, and swing something like 10 lead or maybe 9 lead and then 8 with the rush ace. So very unfortunate for our opponent. And he's going to send a 7,000 power at lead. I'm thinking about countering out, and I decide to do so. Here's my thought process for this, guys. So I probably, in hindsight, it would have been better to just take this life, but our next on turn, if you pay attention, is 6. I need to cycle. I need to see more cards. Because of that, I would much rather not do leader ability next turn because it's not going to be very good, and instead filter. And so to filter, I'm really looking at this 5 cost blocker Sabo that we have, right? Because of that, I need to protect my life because I do not want to go to 0, because if I play 5 cost Sabo, I'm only going to have 1 Dawn, which is not enough to play my leader ability and heal back those 2 life. So here I'm going to 2k 1k with my Punch Luffy and a Zeus that I'm probably never going to use. That way I can do the cycling with my Sabo. Now there is an argument, I guess, here to also take the life, play a Zeus to KO his baby Sabo here, and then do leader ability, I'll let this play now, to heal the 2 life back and use one of those 2 babies in hand, because I'll have 6 Dawn, so that should work out, right? Because it's 2 for leader ability, 2 for Zeus, and 2 for a baby. But you can see here we're drawing the Punch Luffy, so really not seeing our blocker Sabos that we want to see. So I decided to go for the cycle Sabo instead. Now that I think about it, that 2, 2, and 2 idea to go ahead and start looping our leader, cycling our leader already, has some merit to it. I think that could have been a really strong play forward. The only thing I think that kept me from doing it at the moment was realizing that I didn't have any more 2Ks in hand. And without 2Ks and no blockers, I'm in a very, very precarious spot, even if I'm a 7K, 9K leader, especially against Ace here, because Ace will also be a 7K leader thanks to that Ace engine that he's running with the little Luffys and the Revive Luffy. So something to keep in mind there is you do want to have a decent number of 2Ks, and I really didn't have a lot of card selection here, so I decided to go with the safer play, establish a body, and start cycling through the top of my deck to get to what we need. So I go 5 here, just free pressure because he's not a 7K leader. He's going to counter out with, I believe that's a blocker Ace. We're going to go 5, right? Play that Sabo, take the top life. It's a baby Ace. So again, not seeing any 5 drops and another Zeus. Guys, this is not looking great for us right now. Not looking great. We decided to pitch the Punch Luffy, so we have another 5 drop in trash. And then here, I think this was a little bit of a play mistake. I decide to play out one of our 2Ks in hand, which is going to be Charlotte Flampe. So Charlotte Flampe here is going to take our last life to hand and then draw a card. And I really, look at that, just nothing. There's absolutely, it's dry as a bone. Now it's looking a little bit rougher because even though our hand is fat here, if you look, we only have, I think it's 2 2Ks. No, we have 3. We have 3 2Ks, and we only have 1 blocker with 0 life. No bonus on our leader either. So our opponent here can get in for a decent amount of damage, or at the very least, clear our blocker and some cards out of our hand. So I think I should have held the Flampe here, left the Wandon up, and force him to either swing into our last life or leave it there. And if he does that, then we have our blocker Sabo here next turn to swing. If he swings at us, we can block with our blocker Sabo after he takes that life, because we probably are going to have to, with the number of cards that we've seen, we're going to need to stack this Sabo back into life anyways, because our babies are baby Luffy and Sabo, and so we really just need a blocker. So we're gonna have to use this Sabo next turn for blocker anyways, so we might as well block out with it and use it and then just bring it back next turn. So now our opponent here is at 7 Dawn, and he's going to go leader ability again. I was at this point reminding him that it is an 8 cost character right now because I have 3 or less life, and so he cannot Zeus it, because Zeus here kills a 5 cost or less, not 5 base cost, just 5 cost. And he sees the rush or ace here, so he's going to get a lot of pressure this turn because we see he already has that baby ace there. So he's going to go ahead and use that, play out that rush ace. Dude. Now we're in a little bit of a precarious spot. He can get a lot of cards out of our hand here. He's going to start with 9,000 power at lead, and this is the one that I decide to counter out of. I believe I do 2 2Ks and a 1K, which is pretty heavy, but I get rid of the Viola and the Zeus, or sorry, the Flampe, the Zeus, and then a baby ace. Baby ace we can always bring back later if we need with our big ace. But more importantly, I probably could have got rid of the baby Luffy here in all honesty. But more importantly, I got rid of the Flampe because my life is now going to be face up forever unless I play a Viola, but I'm never going to use that to draw. So I just go ahead and 2K and then one of the Zeuses. He's going to swing in for 7. I block out immediately. We're going to let that Sabo blocker go so that we can stack it next turn. And his 5 Dawn is going to be for the 5 drop blocker ace that is going to cycle 2 cards. So he's starting to get his engine going, and guys, what is this RNG? Look at this, the 3rd punch Luffy off of the top of our deck. This is tragic. I mean, and this is what I was talking about earlier with those 2 Garp searches. Bottom decking 2 aces and 2 Sabos is very scary, especially the blocker Sabo, the black one, because we want to use that to cycle. And so not seeing one of those obviously is hurting a lot. That punch Luffy is really, really obnoxious right now. Do not want to see that. And so here we're looking obviously at a leader ability. We need to get a blocker established here. We're going to start off with 2 on leader. We're going to do our leader ability, pitching the punch Luffy, and then restacking 2 and the blocker Sabo on top. And there's an important reason for that. So here I was thinking, okay, sure, we could go 9K leader. I'll have 1 blocker, 1 punch Luffy, no life, 9,000 power. Is that good? Is that really that good? Because I only have the 6 Dawn here. Because I wanted to get in for enough damage to threaten his board state here. So what I do instead is we go Viola first, right? So I'm going to stack this here. So here I go Viola, and here's why. I needed more defensive options to buy myself time and reuse this Sabo blocker here to keep digging in my life. So we go Viola to flip our life face down that way, because, and another important thing here, guys, for why BY can be tricky sometimes. Black Yellow Luffy actually prevents this Sabo's on play from working once you turn your life cards face up. Because the Sabo says you have to add the card from the top of your life to your hand in order to draw those 2 and trash 1. Now, Black Yellow Luffy, right? According to the rules, I'll pull it up on screen again. According to the rules, your face-up life cards go to the bottom of your deck instead of being added to your hand. That's from damage, that's from abilities, that's from costs, that's from everything. So we had to play Viola first before we did the baby Sabo into Sabo blocker, because otherwise we could not do the draw with our Sabo. So he goes Viola here, flip our life face down, play out that Sabo, get 7K to our leader, and then we do Sabo on play, take that last life. It's going to be a punch Luffy. Obviously we stacked it there, and look at that, guys. That is the top deck of the century. That is exactly what we needed to see there. Boom. So we see our blocker Sabo and our rush ace. We are so happy about that. And then we trash the rush ace because we have another ace in hand. So it's a brick first and foremost, but if we didn't have that other baby ace right there in hand, then we would not pitch this ace because we would have no way to play it back out. But we pitched the ace because it's a brick. We could probably counter with our blocker Sabo next turn. We have 2 blockers. We're a 7,000 power leader, and we're going to be swinging in for 11 at our opponent's. I think we go for ace here. Yeah, we go for rush ace just so that we can get rid of the blocker. Yeah, and he uses the blocker ace here, which I remember because he wanted to keep this ace at the 7,000 power, and that was because it pressures my leader just by attacking since I'm not a 9K. So, and we still have a decent amount of cards in hand, right? 7 cards is not amazing, but it's there. Still a good number. All right, he's going to throw 2 Dawn onto his Port-Histi ace leader and do ability. He gets the, I believe that's a Searcher ace. Searches for a 2-drop and then plays it. Now he's going in with the 5-drop ace. He has a face-up life, so he can play back his ace from trash. He's going to play out the Searcher ace make him a 7,000 power leader. Searcher Ace can look at the top 5. He doesn't find anything and plays out the 2-drop Ace from hand. Now I think he goes into Hiyori, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's gonna go Hiyori, take the bottom card of his life, add it to hand, put a card from his hand on top of his life, and that card is obviously going to be an ace. It is a 2k ace. He's just buffing himself to a 9k leader, and look at that, guys. In one turn, he went from having one 7k body, and now he has 5 decently pressuring bodies on board if we're counting his leader. And now he's going to go for, I think that's 12 at lead, 10 at lead, because he's a 9,000 and there's at least 3 Dawn there. So that's 12 lead. He sends that. We're going to block with Viola. He sends a 7k at our 7k leader. We 1k with Sabo because we're going to put it in our life next turn anyways, so we don't mind if it's in our trash. And then we get our last 2 Dawn cards here. Draw Black Vortex. Not needed in this matchup, guys. We are going to be pitching that with a quickness to leader ability. So we're going to put our 3D 2Y Dawn onto our leader card. We're going to do leader ability here, pitching that Black Vortex because we're not going to save Dawn for that. We're going to go blocker, Sabo, and then Ace. And you always want to stack the Ace first to bring back the baby. So anyways, we're going to put 2 down, play out the blocker Ace, or sorry, the 2-drop Ace. Or no, I believe I actually send a ton of damage at him with Sabo here, if I'm not mistaken. Because here's the thing here, guys. I'm looking at my hand, not a lot of counter, and I'm going to be using a lot of those cards here on my turn to establish board and keep on filtering. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 big bodies that will probably, with only a couple Dawn, be able to pressure, you know, onesies, twosies cards out of my hand, which is very, very bad for us. So here I'm like, well, maybe I just go 7 into, you know, like send some damage here. He has no blocker, so he'll probably lose it because he only has 4 cards in hand. But then I'm thinking, he's a 9k leader with only 4 cards in hand. Maybe he's just bricked up. Maybe he doesn't have the counter. So that's an idea I start toying around with during this turn. So you can see I'm like really counting out my Dawn, trying to figure out what the best play here would be. And so I decided to just blanket send 11,000 power at his leader. Now, to be the safest here, guys, I should have sent 10. Because if he could counter out of the 10, then he counters out whatever, that's fine. I'll still have 4 Dawn left, which means I have 2 to play out the baby Ace so that we can get our guys out, and 2 for Viola as another blocker. But I go 11 here because I have a gut feeling that he's not got a lot of counter, and he has no blockers, guys, which is good. However, he triggers the event off of life to draw a card, which is pretty scary. All right, so now we go baby Ace, play out our big Ace, and make our leader a 7k, and then big Ace, because we have that face up life, can bring back another baby from trash. So we're gonna play out our blocker Sabo, or our baby Sabo, excuse me, and then put out blocker Sabo with that, become plus 2k, protect our entire board from KO by effect, and then we're gonna cycle 2 cards. We're gonna get rid of that big Ace because we have another baby in hand, and I think we get rid of Punch Luffy here. Yep, so we're gonna get rid of Punch Luffy. I put that last Dawn onto leader, which is 9, 10, 11, 12. So we send 12 at lead. And he has 5 cards in hand at a 9k leader, and that is going to be the game. He did not quite have enough counter to stop us there. So luckily our opponent was bricked up. But guys, if he wasn't bricked up there, this was looking really scary, especially without leaving that extra Dawn up for Viola. This is going to be bad. I only had 1 blocker here. I was a 9k leader, and I had 1 2k and 4 1ks. It was about to get really hairy there. So luckily our opponent was bricked up. We were able to get the win. Surprisingly close game considering that whiff earlier on in the game. With that being said, yeah guys, thanks for watching so much. If you like this video and content like it, and you like the style of this one, please feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know. Like the video, subscribe so that you don't miss any more uploads from me, share it with your friends so that they can enjoy it too, and consider hitting that notification bell as well. That way you for sure don't miss any of my uploads or posts. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.